Nerds International proudly presents
49. Oh,
Crazy,
it's not 69. That would have been a perfect number for this episode.
Oh, it's a shame. The 49 is also a sexual manoeuvre, but
Is it really?
no, it isn't. But I was going to make a
Could
joke.
be.
Hello and welcome to the 3T RPG podcast. I'm Harrison Hunt, and with me is Nick Lambo.
Oh yeah, Lamborghini.
This is a podcast all about tabletop RPGs. Welcome everyone. Welcome back, Nick.
Thanks, man. It's good to be back.
It is good to be back.
Feels good. Back in the lab.
Well, the last episode, actually, we did record it with Nick, but then the audio fucked up, so we had to re-record it, and unfortunately, Owen was the only person available. I say unfortunately, because he touched me, and I can't show you where.
Where's the teddy bear, Ed?
No, I don't want to relive it, Nick. He's a bad man, alright?
Bad man. Oh, dear.
Anyway, today on this RPG show, we've got loads of segments for you. We've got feedback. We've got What You Slaying, where we talk about what we've been playing, and then the main subject, which is Tingleverse, the Chuck Tingle role-playing game. And then we got Wi-Fi Signal, followed by Dragon or Blagging, and then your Electro Letters.
Oh, yeah.
Should we do a show?
Let's do a blinking show.
Let's do it.
The feedback side. The feedback side. Yes, bitch, the feedback side. It's the feedback section.
Yeah, we take your comments and read them out. Yeah, feedback, bitch.
So the first feedback comes in, well, the only feedback comes in from Jeffrey Garrison, and it's about the Mytharog episode, which was a pretty sexist, pretty racist type game. And he says, females are less strong overall. Sorry, no, let me do that in his actual voice.
Said that.
Females are less strong overall. Why does that shock you that a designer would include an account for gender divergence? You know, you can criticise a game system and its author without being complete leftist wackadoodles. It's okay to do that.
Oh wow! It's an edgy one.
Well, what I find funny about this guy is because I'm a fucking idiot. I went and looked through his profile on MeWe, and every single post that he's ever done is him saying something like that. He's obviously he's got the biggest chip on his shoulder ever. I think once he's either secretly gay, or he once got beaten in a fight by a woman
badly. I think he says, females are less strong overall. Tell that to a female bodybuilder. Tell that to a female rugby player. Tell that to
female bus driver. They'll knock you out.
Fucking bollocks. I'm sorry,
but yeah, it's just I found that extremely funny because it's obviously a really, really unpopular opinion to have, and obviously we're going to comment on it.
Of course we are.
Because it's in the bloody book. Yeah.
I don't get it.
That's what's weird about it as well, is like leftist wackadoodles. I could get that if we were the type of Antifa people that punch people in the face.
This is one of the most obnoxious podcasts on the internet.
But all we were saying was that it's kind of weird and wrong to have that in your game. That's it. That's not a wackadoodle, is it?
That's not a wackadoo, is it? I mean, that's some radical ideas right there, man.
I'm starting to think that, and obviously we don't like to get political on the show, so that's it. But I'm starting to think that my Jeffrey Garrison impression was spot on. Right,
Well, keep coming in, Jeff.
Yeah, thanks for listening. Actually, never listen again. Right,
that's really made me laugh.
Let's get on to what we've been playing in What You Slaying.
What you?
One of these! Oi! Yeah? What you slaying?
So, I was on holiday recently in Tunisia.
Yes.
Tunisia too furious. No, that's stupid.
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was alright, but while I was away, obviously I couldn't run my current Deadlands game, so what have you been up to, mate? You've been doing some Forget About It.
Yeah, so I stepped in, we had a little chat, didn't we? So so the Deadlands game, we're obviously going to touch on that in a minute, but it's got a very cool kind of idea to it, where we've got these kind of multi-universal kind of interconnecting, ever-increasing circles, and so we had a little chat, and I said, well, give me a person, and I'll run Forget About It, but I'll give it some kind of connotations of the main game. So we had a couple of characters that were mentioned in the current Deadlands game that cropped up in the Forget About game. So I wanted to make it all kind of.
Oh, which ones were those? Did you have?
It was Jimmy the Shoe, mate. So,
Oh, yeah, of course,
so
yeah.
Jimmy the Shoe was all part of it. They were they worked for Jimmy the Shoe. The
Who's
guys.
like a British gangster. So Forget About It. It's like a... What is it? I've never actually played the game. I think I read it a while back, but it's basically... sorry. A bunch of gangsters that need to bury a body, isn't it?
Yeah, well, kind of. It's cracking. So it's basically it's a nice, easy one from just insert imagination. And basically, you're some gangsters in a car driving out of Vegas to a area where you've got to meet a contact to make someone disappear, and the person who you're going to make disappear is currently unconscious in your boot as the game starts. And that's about it, really. Throw some complications in.
Yeah, because it's got like their packages that they do. It's got like complications that you can chuck in.
Yep.
So just as the party seems to think everything's going right, you sling a curveball their way.
I only used one, the one I normally use, which is the old flat tire one, because that always gets a bit of. Gets the creative juices going. But no, I made up my own, if I'm honest with you. But yeah, he come back alive. I actually threw in some guy with a RV that was like kind of fucking. Serial kidnapper that had a load of women in the back of his
I saw that. Yeah, because I saw the screenshots. I saw the pictures that you took of the game, and I saw the RV on the battle map, and I was like, "What the fuck has happened?"
So that just kind of pulled up to help, and then really he was trying to catch them guys as well from the back of his RV.
So he's kidnapping women.
Yeah.
Gangsters.
Oh yeah, we had it all, and then I had the police guy came to the police officer. Obviously saw them in distress and went to help him, and he was like Gary Busey from Fear and Loathing. So there was this really kind of cringy scene with James when he was driving him back to the place to get a new tyre, and he's like, "It's very lonely out here."
Hang on, what the fuck is going on out my door?
So anxiety. What's all that about?
There's some like fucking like Buddhists have shown up at my door. They're trying to get my.
Is it Hare Krishna?
I think it might be. It's fucking the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
No drums.
In Red Hill. I just heard them going, "You throw all your anxiety away."
Into a bin.
What the fuck was that? That was weird. Anyway, yes, Forget About It sounds great, man. I got distracted by the noise out there.
Oh my god.
You also played some Call of Cthulhu, right?
I did, yeah. So the following week I was desperate to run some modern Call of Cthulhu because I'd never done it before, and I had that. Do you remember a long time ago I kickstarted the
Fear's
Sharp Little Needles, yes, which is from Stygian Fox Publishing. And it was brilliant. So I run that, and this one was I wanted to try something that we've not tried before, so I went for a one shot where they're all at sea the whole time. The whole game's pretty much set on a boat, and they're a bunch of volunteers that are going out shark tagging. But yeah, there's more than sharks out there, let's put it that way. Big monsters and whatnot.
Deep ones, ain't it?
No, it was a giant monster, but the actual marine biologist that you go out with has actually got deep one. They call it a deep one taint in her bloodline, which she doesn't actually realise until she gets out there and it actually gets activated. So it's quite cool, really. And then there was some sacrifice. A 7-year-old got killed.
Oh yeah,
normal stuff.
yeah. It's like they meet these two guys out at sea, right? And they sacrifice them.
Well, they've killed. Yeah, basically they meet a grandpa and a son who are out fishing, and they've caught like a younger version of this giant sea monster, and that like mortally wounded it. And basically, the huge sea monster shows up and kind of subconsciously says to them inside their minds that they will let the rest go if they sacrifice the two that killed its offspring, basically.
That's awesome.
And then the team have this obviously horrible decision, and then the old man hears it and he's like, "You ain't killing me, boy!" And they're like, "Oh yeah, we are."
They fought him. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that sounds amazing.
So the monster let him go. So it was good. It was fun, and it was. I really wanted to kind of push the kind of bleakness of being out at sea,
Yeah, well, it's funny because I played another adventure involving deep ones. I think I've mentioned it on this podcast, but it's the free adventure on the website.
This is one you ran a little while ago when they're running a.
Yeah, and it's also set near the ocean, obviously, because deep ones are like fish people.
Yeah.
But it was. It says you can set it in a holiday park in England, so I did because.
Well, like Butlins or something.
No, I set it in Lowestoft, and because the place has a name, but the thing is, Lowestoft is probably the biggest hellhole in England. It's where some of my family are from.
It's where you used to go with
I used to go on holiday, and it's so depressing, Nick. It's like they have a bowling alley where it's got 2 lanes. Most of the pins are missing, and the bowling ball is just like a wooden block that somebody's carved.
What?
And the cinema is a bloke's front room.
Oh, you
right?
told me.
Yeah, and you have to eat all of the popcorn in the lounge before you go in because he doesn't want no mess on
You
his
don't
floor.
want to hoover up after.
Yeah, exactly. It was the weirdest thing. But I set it there, and it was amazing. The modern adventures are so much fun.
They are fun. Yeah.
Obviously, a lot of them always involve like being away from cell phone reception or whatever. But I really
I know
like.
it's not encouraged cell phones. It said if it uses a computer use or library use, they can whip their phone out and do a little, because they were doing a little bit of research before they went, because basically this old drunk comes along, like in The Shadow over Innsmouth, when the old drunk turns up and tells that bloke to get out of Innsmouth, basically.
Yeah.
Same kind of deal happens with this, and he turns up and he's like, it's this big sea monster out there, the eye, and all that, and he gets them a bit scared before they get on. But yeah, no, it was cool. I enjoyed it. I'd love to run it for you, actually. I think you'd enjoy it.
Oh, that sounds epic.
But it's good, so I'm going to try some more from that book, so definitely check that book out.
So I love playing Call of Cthulhu. I always love to play it, but I just it's just that I've GM'd it so much. I don't really have much desire to nowadays.
That's the thing, because I haven't done too much in Call of Cthulhu other than play it. I really wanted to run it a little bit, and obviously I had Sean, who's an expert, and you're an expert, so it was quite easy. But I know what you mean, because we played the shit out of Call of Cthulhu.
Yeah,
when
we
first
really
started,
have,
didn't we? So, but yeah, it was cracking, really good fun.
Next thing we've been playing is Deadlands Dark Tower.
Oh mate,
I think we should do a full episode on this. So I won't talk about the setting that much, but essentially, Dark Tower takes place. If you imagine every single reality is encapsulated in a big dark tower, and the lowest of those realities is, I think it's called In-World, Mid-World, and End-World, but I can't remember what
this is Stephen King's Dark Tower, by the way.
Yeah, and essentially, imagine if our Earth isn't held up by gravity, but instead these beams of power that are guarded by an animal guardian at the end of each one.
Precisely, yeah.
And then the world is like a Western / sci-fi / fantasy world.
Yeah.
That's what you got.
There you go.
It's nuts. It's completely nuts. But it means that you can have things from other realities and things like this, and there's a reason for it, but I won't spoil it. But essentially, yes, things from other realities can pop through thinnies, which are tears in reality and things like this. And
Crossover.
the players, happen to be some of those people, and they're trying to find get to the Dark Tower so they can go back to their own reality, and that's it.
It's brilliant.
But the cool thing is that. In the Stephen King books, there's a section where the main character Roland he gets stranded on a beach. Somebody sends him there by magical means.
Yep.
He gets really ill because he gets attacked by these otherworldly beasts that are giant lobsters, who he calls the lobstrosities.
Lobstrosities, yeah.
And as he goes up the beach, he finds 3 doors in the beach, and each of them he has to draw a person out of those doors who is supposed to be part of his team.
Yeah.
And that's what we've just played.
Just done that, yeah.
It's really fucking high concept and weird, honestly.
No, it's fantastic, and if you've read the book, it's fantastic. What I love about this is, I'm a huge Stephen King fan, especially so for Dark Tower. But for me, that I enjoy even more so is that it's just the constant cameos from all that old campaigns that keep popping up.
Because if you're a Stephen King fan and you read Dark Tower, it's like all of these cameos of the other characters, because essentially the other universes all
revolve around.
They're all his books, his other books, right? So
that's right.
In this, it's all revolving around our games instead of Stephen King stuff.
Concept. I love it.
But what was really what was really great is we've had there's a character that everyone agrees is one of our best NPCs we've ever had, and he came back last game. His name's Gungar. We talked about him in episode 3 of this podcast 4 years ago, and they find him frozen on top of a mountain. It turns out he wasn't dead. He was just stabbed a lot.
We just left him there to die.
Yeah, because nobody checked on him.
No one checked on him.
And so
It's
you just
terrible.
left him there, and he's like, "My friends are gone.
I'm left to be dying."
He's like, "I guess I'll throw my lot in with you."
Yeah.
And he just can't. Yeah, so he comes with you guys. You've got 2 other characters with you as well, and we've basically got to that point. But in the first sort of arc of the game, you're chasing the Man in Black across the desert. He's part of this team called the Reckoners, who are trying to bring on the chaos and the distraction and things like this. So essentially, the world is crumbling, and that's why the characters need to get to the Dark Tower. And they need to also get home.
Yeah, get home.
The thing is, the Man in Black was trying to stop them, so these guys chased him across a desert. We did an epic minecart chase, which was fucking awesome.
You had the hangman following, who was impregnated by a demon, and the whole town was blaming the party for this.
And then in the middle we had everyone thought that this party had infected this hangman with a demon, but obviously they didn't.
It's in Tull,
and so they were chasing the Man in Black on one minecart. So he was at the front, they were on the middle, and the hangman was in the back.
After them,
Yeah, and he was constantly chanting "guilty, guilty," and he was trying to catch up to them. But one of them shot him, winged him, and then he was stunned by the bullet. And they got to this gap, and the hangman fell down into the caverns below.
We don't know if he's dead or not.
Yeah, exactly. But then everyone made the jump. What they did is, as they were getting to the jump in the minecart track, all of them jumped at the same time. In the book, of course, Roland sacrifices this little kid called Jake.
Yep.
in order to make the jump because he's
Yep.
got too much weight. But in this, they just went, right, we all jump at the same time. And they did.
enough.
It was amazing. Yeah, it was really cool. But yeah, that's basically Deadlands Dark Tower.
So good.
Deadlands is a perfect fit because it's got magic, sci-fi, and western, so it works perfectly.
Yeah, you just got to sprinkle a little bit of DT flavour over it, and it's ready to go.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's a good one.
It's
to play.
very good, mate. So watch out for that episode. We'll do a full review on it.
I know that we're obviously trying to shorten our what you've been slaying segments, but I've got sometimes obviously we talk about what we've bought on here, and this is I bought Legend of the Five Rings recently. Got it for £6 from Oxfam, a charity shop or a thrift store as you Americans call it.
Oh yeah.
But look who it's written by.
I didn't know that.
See, we all thought he was fictional.
We all thought he was fictional, but no, John Wick wrote this, apparently.
When he's not out killing gangsters.
Was this before or after the dog episode?
Probably before. That was when he's a bit.
When he was alright.
Legend of the Five Rings. If you try to imagine what D&D is to Western mythology,
Yeah.
Legend of the Five Rings is to Japanese mythology. That's essentially what it is.
So it's got nothing to do with
the Olympics.
Lord of the Rings or anything?
No.
No.
So this is it's the Five Rings. I have no idea. I'm probably talking about my arse, but I'm fairly certain it represents the different characteristics of a person. I can't fuck it over. Anyway, the point is it's a fantasy game set in feudal Japan where you can play a ninja, a ronin, a samurai, a mage, and you. But all the monsters they're like Japanese goblins, or you've got oni, which are Japanese demons, and things like this. So yeah, it should be really good. I know fuck all about it at the moment. The only thing I know is that the new version plays almost identical to Genesis. But this one doesn't. So I'm excited to get into it. Apparently, it's got really good dueling rules.
The art's incredible.
Yeah, it really is.
Really, really good.
And apparently the dueling is sick. Like it's sort of like you have this. Everything breaks down to like the 10th of a second, and you have these like moves that you can make where everyone's extremely fast. Because if you've ever seen the samurai movies, when they duel, it's like 2 slashes and then they're dead. So that's kind of how it works.
The art's really, really good. I like the character sheet as well. It's cool.
Yeah, it's great.
Cool. How old is this?
It's an oldie, man. I can't remember when it came out, but 90s, I think. Anyway, I want for the next thing that I bought recently, I want you to come and have a look at my shelf.
Okay.
But I don't want you to judge me too badly.
Okay. Got it.
I've done a bad thing, everyone.
Done something really naughty. Oh dear. What's going on?
All right, I can explain myself. Nick, if you want to tell them what it is.
So we've got it looks like D&D 5th edition starter set.
Yeah, look. The trouble with this is that I know I'm a hypocrite because I have talked about how I don't like D&D 5e, and that still stands. But I was talking to James Tomasson, who's a mate of our group, on my birthday, and I was telling him what I disliked about the game, and he came up with some really quick and easy house rules, which is what I would have done anyway. But the point is he came up with some really quick and easy house rules, and I've had this idea in my head of a campaign for ages, but I haven't found the right setting. Where I wanted the players to be given an out-of-commission zoo, and they have to start out by populating it with monsters.
Okay, cool.
And I thought the reason that I wanted... when it comes to monsters, their descriptions, how they behave, the abilities they have... there's no better games than Pathfinder or D&D because they're so well fleshed out. Yeah, they can be overly complex and overly crunchy, but the point is that
it's there. It's
there.
Yeah,
and it reminds me of like if you've ever played The Witcher 3, when there's this one where you have to hunt down the owlbear and you go to its nest, so you realise it's a female one, and you have to like look at its footprints and shit. And that's the type of game I wanted to have.
That's
like
cool.
You guys tracking down monsters, and maybe there'll be a rival zoo over there.
Yeah.
Things like this. So
whoever can get the most, because obviously you've got the danger and the challenge of capturing the monster and not killing it. Yeah. And then trying to get it back to the zoo.
Because imagine just doing like a normal dungeon scenario where you got goblins and the goblin boss, but you need a goblin boss for your zoo, right? And so you've got to not kill him.
I can just picture some guys like going down the trail with a wagon, like, and it's like, what you got there? It's like, beholder, be careful. It's like roaring from a cage.
All right, sleeping right now, but
don't piss it off.
Yeah, and I got with that. There's a book called Acquisitions Incorporated. It's made by the guys from Penny Arcade, right?
Yeah.
And it's about having your own adventuring company that acquire things.
Perfect. That's fun.
I think in the original they owned a museum that had magic items.
That's cool. That's cool.
But the book's quite cool because it says it's Lord of the Rings by way of The Office.
See, I love that. And it's because if you run that zoo game, I would make it like a kind of rule that they can't be like your run of them. Your average adventurer. They have to be a little bit more kind of basic.
Yeah, because it's just a job to them.
Just a job. They
that's
just
what
work
I
at a
was
zoo.
thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, you work at a zoo, and
You're
I was
a poacher,
thinking, yeah, like
basically.
Sean said that he wanted to play a dwarf barbarian based on Kevin from The Office or Keith from the English one. Yeah.
Fucking hell. That would be so good. I love it.
Yeah, so actually, and also the good thing about this version of D&D is it has bonds and flaws, so you can take flaws for your characters.
Oh,
so it would work, I think.
Right,
yeah.
okay, cool. So, no, I'm the same. So, yeah, I know I've been like, I've never played D&D, but I do want to try it, so I have, and, I know that we've had some bad things, but a lot of people seem to like 5e, so...
Well, and the game that I played, I described it to Tomasin, and this guy loves D&D 5e, and I said to him all of my gripes about it, and how experience only rewards killing monsters, things like this, and he was like, well, there is an easier, there's the quick leveling up system apparently in one of the books,
okay.
And also he said that it really sounds like I had a shit GM there.
Right, so there you go.
Yeah, so but I don't know. But fear not, listeners. This isn't going to be a 5e podcast. We'll probably never speak about this again.
No,
I've committed a sin. I'm a hypocrite.
Feels dirty.
All right. Next up, we're going to get on to the main subject, which is the Tingleverse.
We should probably apologise.
Why?
Don't know, because I know it's going to be bad.
Name. Subject. Magic. Main. Subject. Tokyo. Main. Subject.
Today we are talking about the Tingleverse, the official Chuck Tingle role-playing game. But first of all, why are we reviewing this book?
Why?
Because back in episode 7, we actually talked about Chuck Tingle when I first discovered him.
Is that Buddy in the Fire Brigade?
Yeah, it might have been.
Not sure.
I can't remember.
Around that time, I remember.
But yeah, I remember we talked about him, and I just discovered him, and I was talking about his weird book titles and things like this.
I think it was our most hated podcast at the time.
Because because originally I remember now what it was. It was an episode about having a good big villain.
Oh, that
in
was
your
it.
campaign.
That was
and
the one.
I originally called it the episode "Pounded in the Butt" by the big villain.
That was it, and everyone was like, "No,
No one
downloaded
downloaded it." But the thing is because so many of Chuck Tingle's books have the title "Pounded in the Butt" by and then something.
Yeah.
So basically, Chuck Tingle is an erotic writer. And he's the enigmatic author of mostly cheap, mostly short erotic novels that are available via Amazon. And other than that person that wrote 50 Shades of Grey, he's the most famous erotic writer in the world at the moment. But obviously Chuck Tingle's not the real guy's name, but it's a pseudonym which he uses to write such art as Pounded by President Bigfoot, Shared by the Chocolate Milk Cowboys, and The Curse of Bigfoot Butt Camp. But many of Chuck's novels are stranger even so than these ones, where the concept behind them are existential and bizarre, like Slammed in the Butthole by my concept of linear time. But you have no doubt noticed that there are common threads in Tingle's work. Big feet, or Bigfoots, appear a lot, as do unicorns, dinosaurs, and abstract concepts manifesting in reality. Additionally, his books always feature covers made by the man himself using Photoshop, and they're absolute gold.
They really are.
Describe the cover of the book you're currently looking at.
Okay, so the book I'm currently looking at, we've got a kind of a Western Saloon-esque type top billboard with some kind of cowboyish type of writing, and below that we have a topless gentleman who's quite muscly with chaps on, a dinosaur head and a cowboy hat which is tilting at a jointy angle.
And on the left there you got a Bigfoot.
Next to him we got a Bigfoot who looks like he's rubbing his own nipples. There's a tentacle below him and what looks like a ball bag. And then to the right we have an elfin lady who looks pretty generic, really, to be fair.
So there you go. That's what we're
That's
talking
the
about.
front.
That's the front, mate.
Oh, and it's backlit by a beautiful rolling vista of a mountain.
Yeah, very nice. See, the thing that I think when I look at his books, though, are they actually genuinely serious erotic novels? Because I know they sound rubbish, and I've read one, and it was written in a way that was kind of funny, but also a bit rubbish. But the thing is that so many of these erotic writers that sell their £2, books on Amazon, they're all crap.
Yeah.
So is this serious? And I don't really know.
Is it serious?
The thing is there's a guy that I follow on YouTube called H Bomber Guy, right?
Yeah.
And he did a charity live stream where Chuck Tingle came on.
Whoa.
And he came on as a voice, and he is autistic, right? But so the thing is, when he was talking, he seemed very sincere, but had a very strange voice that some people think is fake. He says is fake sometimes and says it's real sometimes. But he said
There's only one dang thing to do with your time on this timeline, and that's to make sure you prove love as much as you possibly can, and then you're doing that 100%.
and he sounded like
Really
he
sincere.
really, really meant it. So I don't know. I just don't know.
Him. He's a big
If
old
he-
question mark, isn't he?
If he is a satire writer, he's a bloody genius.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I don't know. But let's talk about the man himself.
Yeah.
So, as I said, not an awful lot is known about Chuck, though. But he does claim to be a Taekwondo grandmaster with a PhD in holistic massage. The
Oh, yeah, because his full name is actually Dr. Chuck Tingle,
It
isn't
is,
it?
yeah. The university, though, where he claims to have acquired this degree, doesn't offer PhDs in holistic massage, so I think the Taekwondo thing might also be rubbish. But a few interesting details surfaced when someone confirmed as Chuck Tingle's son did a Reddit AMA where people can ask him any question. And it was said that Chuck is highly autistic and suffers from schizophrenia. Additionally, apparently his son is also his editor. But talking about the schizophrenia thing, Chuck himself denies this on the FAQ portion of his website and says, quote, "I am not. If you heard this from son John, it is probably because he does not believe it when I talk to sweet Barbara or hear the call of the lonesome train. There is nothing wrong with having this way, but it is not part of my unique way. Thanks."
Sweet Barbara.
Sweet Barbara apparently is the name of his frozen wife at the bottom of the lake who talks like marbles. That's how he put it.
Good old Sweet Barbara.
So
Okay.
yeah, and that's pretty much every detail known about the man.
This is an enigma.
It's bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah.
So this mysterious entity with over 100 books to his name since he first published My Billionaire Triceratops Craves Gay Ass in 2014. And now he's gone and made a bloody role-playing game, Tingleverse, the official Chuck Tingle role-playing game.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about the cover already.
Yeah.
So the thing is about this game, before we get into it, it really... In some ways, it was exactly what I expected, and in some ways, it really bloody wasn't.
I'm impressed by the size, I'd say, first of all.
Yeah, take a look at the layout, though, before we get into it. Because when you get a new book, it's the first thing you see, isn't it?
Okay. It's just, there's no layout.
There's no layout.
It's just written in paragraphs.
I can see why it was only 15 quid, let's put it that way.
I see. Is
But
there no art?
There is art, but only for the monsters, and it looks like it's drawn in MS Paint. Some of them are fucking weird, man.
Oh, God. Rabbler.
Anyway, we'll get into that
We'll get to
later.
them
So,
yeah.
the book starts with an introduction, as most games do, but two notable things. Firstly, the DM is called the Tingle Master, and the intro states that all you need to play is some buds that want to prove love is real. Although it does then say you also need a set of dice. Next up is a chapter entitled The World of the Tingleverse, and it starts off with an incredibly well-written explanation of infinite timelines and how each decision made by everyone ever will create a new universe, something which I suspect the man actually believes in. However, though, the timeline you play in this game is like our world. It's a modern society but with some differences. For example, the various species that we humans live alongside. These species are Bigfoot, dinosaurs, unicorns, and living objects.
Yay.
No, living objects are the only ones that aren't humanoid, so all others have presumably ripped human bodies.
Yeah, of course.
I'm going to quote the book directly here. A T-Rex could be shopping for steaks in the meat department of your local grocery store. A unicorn could be your mail carrier. And a living motorcycle could join your team for a game of pickup baseball. None of these situations would be unusual in the Tingleverse. But the thing is about the living objects, right? They're probably the weirdest one, because the book notes some details about the living objects, and it says not all objects in the Tingleverse are living, but those who are living must be treated with respect and the rights that come along with that. And there's no upper limit to what a living object can be, from a jet to a building to a state to a planet, even an abstract concept. So you could be the abstract concept of time, like from his book.
I could be the abstract concept of fury.
Yeah, you can. And actually, that's listed as a monster in the game.
For God's sake.
Yeah.
Oh, God. It's
He actually says in the book, if you want to be a planet, you can be one.
That's cool.
But the thing is, it takes place
On
mostly, on
Talk
Earth.
to him. Calm down.
And it just goes, crashes into the world, blows it up. Also, in the Tingleverse's alternate history, gunpowder and dynamite were never discovered, so although it's a modern setting, only medieval weaponry is available.
Brilliant.
There's also no internet, no mobile phones, and no alcohol, but chocolate milk has the same effect.
So you don't drink then?
No, obviously not. This game takes place primarily in the town of Billings, a small American city that I don't know if it's fictional or it's not, but and also where Chuck Tingle himself claims to be from.
Right.
This book gives a few noteworthy locations in Billings, such as a library where it's so large you can get lost easily in it, a frozen lake which is now overrun with void crabs, and Ted Cobbler's house.
Oh, right, yeah.
And the thing is, I was trying to figure out who Ted Cobbler was supposed to be, because as I said, I haven't read much of Tingle's books. But Ted Cobbler is described on Tingle's website as a devil man next door who thinks he owns the place, wish he'd fall in a snake pit. So I think it's just somebody that he dislikes, and he's the big villain of the whole thing.
Ted Cobbler.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
The Void also has its own chapter where the Void crabs come from.
Okay.
It's basically an endless plane of darkness and infinite sadness. It has a vast ecosystem of creatures within, and of course there's a monster section that describes those creatures in detail.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, so it's basically like if you want to travel from one universe to another, the Void is in the middle.
Oh, I see. Gotcha.
And I don't know if you've noticed so far, but there's very little sexy stuff going on.
I was going to say, yeah, what the hell?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like, I'll explain why later, but
Okay.
yeah, it's really weird. But let's get into character creation. First up, because the game is supposed to be about love, you have to play good aligned characters.
Right.
But every character has a type, a trot, and a few unique ways which differentiate characters, but we'll get into that shortly. The ability scores are strength, dex, fortitude, book smarts, street smarts, and charm. There's rules beneath each one where if you reach certain thresholds, you get extra bonuses. For example, if you have above 16 in dex, you get a bonus to your defensive score.
Okay.
Kind of like that.
Yeah.
To roll these, you simply roll 4d6, subtract the lowest. Next, you pick your type. This is like your race, and which one you pick affects your scores. For example, big feet get better strength, but less book smarts. Nothing amazing there. But your trot is what makes your character who he is.
Okay.
As best as I can decipher, the trot, in terms of the Tingleverse, is supposed to mean the cut of someone's jib.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
It's like, look at the way that guy walks. That's
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, so to put it practically though, it's your class. It determines how many XP you need to level up, your saves, HP per level, that kind of thing. So let's have a look at the trots. The first one in the book is the bad boy. The bad boy is your warrior class. They can use any weapon and gain additional attacks via leveling up. There's the charmer. They can encourage allies and give them bonuses.
Yep.
There's the sneak. That's the road. That's the rogue.
That's the road.
That's the road. You could be a road if you wanted
You
to.
could, couldn't you? Yeah.
Yeah, and then the last one is the true buckaroo.
Ooh.
They have the noblest trot in all the Tingleverse. That's what the book says. These guys can channel the true love of the universe in opposition to badness and heal people by touching them.
Okay.
They can also, once a day, help others with a roll. They essentially roll the same roll as a mate, and the better of the two is taken.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. Anyway, once you've taken your trot, it's time to pick a unique way.
Okay.
Now, Chuck Tingle describes the strange way he speaks as his unique way. It's like a quirk about yourself.
Yeah.
At character creation, you get 2, and you get more as you level up. Anyway, the unique ways, they include political. If you hear a political discussion, they must make a street smarts check, and on a fail, you are unable to restrain yourself from entering into the discussion.
That's good.
That's a good one,
That's
isn't
good, I like that.
it? Yeah.
Yeah.
There's one called meta awareness, where your character is entirely aware that they're a character in a Chuck Tingle role-playing game.
Funny as well.
It's good, man. And this one I really like. It's called Mosey, where you move so slowly, you just mosey all the time. And you move slowly and slickly, meaning you're always considered to be at the back of the adventuring group.
That's cool as well.
Yeah.
They're all pretty good.
I know, there was a lot of really good ones in there, man. Like, I thought they were very funny and very impressive. Now, you have to pick a number of cool moves
Okay.
for your character, depending on your level. These can be anything from tricks to utilities to powerful attacks, but the style of moves is different for each trot. So wizards do spells, true buckaroos, they heal, etc. Bad boys, for example, and I'm going to give a few examples here because they're fucking brilliant. They may choose the move Sizzler, where they can make metal objects burn red hot, adding extra damage. A level 8 bad boy cool move, Author Anger, allows the bad boy to angrily contact Chuck Tingle himself.
What?
Either by shouting into the air as a telepathic thing, or just like getting really angry inside your own brain.
Yeah.
It allows the player to ask one question of Chuck Tingle himself and find out about the game world.
Do they actually have to?
I thought that was going to be the thing when I was doing this review. I thought that was how it was going to be, but no, unfortunately, you don't get to actually.
His
email.
number's not in the book.
No, it ain't.
Oh,
It should be.
sucks.
It really should be.
Yeah, it should be.
But no, yeah, you have to pretend to be him, basically.
Okay.
Charmers have the fantastic find keys ability.
Oh, yeah.
well, you just find your keys.
Right,
'Cause,
okay.
you know, it's difficult
Could have done
sometimes.
with that after a night out.
Yeah, or the heart command ability, where they can quote cause enemies' hearts to stop and send them to the station of the lonesome train.
Oh, that's bad. That sounds really bad.
I think the station of the lonesome train is where you go in the afterlife.
Bit dead.
Yeah, bit dead.
Yeah, got ya.
Lastly, let's have a few true Buckaroo cool moves. Mm-hmm. The house that never was. This ability allows the Buckaroo to scratch through the layers of the multiverse and find an alternate dimension where a cozy cottage was built in the target area, and then he yanks it into this reality.
Brilliant.
Inside, you'll find a fireplace, a TV, beds.
Why am I impressed with this so far?
I know. It's annoying, isn't it? It's good.
I hate to say it, but it's brilliant so far.
Yeah, it's actually bloody
These are
good.
Great idea, but they're just so out there that you just think, why not? Why
Because the thing
not?
is, in addition to the cool moves in the book that are fucking weird, you've got the standard ones too.
Yeah,
So you've got things like Fireball and things like this. They're given cool names and cool descriptions, but yeah, it's like so much of this would create good gameplay situations.
I'm really surprised.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
So there's another one that the true Buckaroos can do called Timeline Contact, where you can talk to alternate versions of your party. So it's like, say for example, you scratch through reality, find an alternate version of your party that succeeded in what you were trying to do, then ask them how.
Yeah.
It's fucking awesome. And there's one called Love Wall. It's an invisible wall made from pure love energy. The wizard ones are actually cool too, like Ghost Car, but there's so many cool moves to choose from that we could go on about it all day. So I'm not
Really?
gonna. Yeah,
Wow.
it's really, really impressive.
Okay.
The biggest section is probably the cool moves. So
Oh,
character
right.
customization in that sense, the abilities that you have, is really good. The thing is, as you'll no doubt notice, the way that the spells work, it kind of means that everyone gets cool moves, which they're not necessarily all spell-like, but it means that everyone has abilities where they can use them once a day, like
cool.
wizards in D&D. So it makes it a bit more like 4th edition, but in a good way.
Yeah.
So,
I like it.
Where's the dagger? It's right here. It's right here. It's right here. Give me the dagger. Thank you.
Let's talk about equipment.
Yeah.
The standard equipment is actually pretty standard fantasy stuff, with a few exceptions. Stone Skin and Healing Potions have been renamed to Chocolate Milk of Healing and Protection.
Okay.
Under the armour, there's 2-ply and 3-ply versions of the crab suit, but that's about the most interesting thing in the standard equipment.
Okay.
There's the magic items later is where it comes into its own.
Okay.
Because that's where it gets cool.
Yeah.
But we'll get into that now. So there's a whole section on milks. So you've got speed milk, sour milk of wounding, ghost milk, spider milk. These are essentially your potions. So all potions are basically milk.
Milk-based,
But there's one really good one that I like, and it's a milk, but it's called Chocolate Fog. And it banishes all creatures level 4 or below to the void, and otherwise creates a billowing brown fog in whichever direction the bottle is pointed.
Cool.
The magic weapons include the sax axe. It looks like a saxophone to everyone except the person wielding it.
What the
There's one that's the singing sword. It's a +1 sword that croons loudly whenever it's unsheathed.
Oh. I love it.
The Sword of Balls is a good one. You can use it to fire 1d4 magic balls, so it's like a magic missile sword kind of thing. But the miscellaneous ones, you have the Borson Reams magical fishing net.
Okay.
You can fish in anything shallow as a puddle and magically conjure fish out of it.
Nice.
There's the folding car. It's a car that unfolds from a box the size of a Rubik's Cube. And lastly, this one's fucking good. The Ticket of Flying.
Okay.
An airline ticket that will change to be for whatever destination you require.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, the magic items are all great. They've got the standard sort of D&D type ones as well. They've been renamed, but they've got some really clever ones in there too.
Yeah.
The last section we got is the monsters, which include the devil, battle snakes, and of course the man with no eyes and wieners for hair.
The man with no eyes and wieners for hair.
Did you see the artwork for the man with no eyes and wieners for hair? I think I sent it to you, but it looks like a guy with dreadlocks, and he's got a really creepy face. But the good thing about all of these monsters is the write-ups. Some of the bigger monsters, the boss monsters, they've got pages of shit where it's like, it's just so interesting reading it. I don't know, it shouldn't be. By all accounts, this is wrong. But let me tell you, the man with no eyes and wieners for hair, he's got 3 and a bit pages just on that one guy. Yeah, that's him. He's not actually a shit enemy though. He wears a suit, but he's invisible to everyone except those he's directly pursuing. And he's got 3 attacks per round, including spells. He also has 600 HP.
Jesus.
But other monsters include the manifested concept of self-loathing, the manifested concept of rage, a mashed potato elemental, and my favourite is something called Not Basketball.
Not basketball.
Yeah, not basketball's habitat is listed as parks, gyms, and garages. They're creatures from a distant timeline. They're basically spiders that look exactly like basketballs.
Yep.
But it means they can hide in plain sight, and they have 8 attacks per round because they've got 8 limbs.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So yeah, that's one of my favourite ones.
They've managed to flourish due to their similar appearance to the common orange basketball.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, really, really good. And there's all sorts of fantastic bad guys in here. Sky Sharks, Screeching Masses, Ted Cobbler.
Oh, him.
Yeah, he's in there, man.
Yeah, of course
It's
he
a
is.
good bestiary. Like,
Yeah.
the art is fucking awful,
Yeah,
let's
yeah,
be
yeah.
honest. But
Yeah.
it's the creativity. I know they're going for laughs, but they do get
It's
it.
good.
So that's the point.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's basically the book.
Okay.
That's everything that you find in there as content-wise. But how does it play? And I can summarise this really quickly, which to me says it's a good game. Mm-hmm. So every character has these daily powers, as we said, in the cool moves. So in that sense, it's close to D&D 4e, but
Okay.
easier to pick up. And the game essentially revolves around you trying to roll under your ability score to succeed, and the Tingle Master altering it based on situation.
Oh, right. So, yeah.
Combat is standard stuff. Hit over enemy defense value, do damage. There's not a ton of rules in that regard. In fact, there's barely any, and that's about it. It's like an OSR 4e comedy game,
Right, yeah, with an endless well of craziness.
and that's it. Yeah. So what do you make of it?
It's
then?
good. I'm not going to lie. I am so shocked.
See what it does.
So it's all the pounded in the butt.
I think what it is he's taken all the concepts except the sexy stuff from his books and put it into there.
Well, if he's showing that he can do other stuff,
I think he should release supplements for this.
I think he should carry on with this.
Yeah, it's good,
Do
man.
you know what? I love the batshit crazy ideas. You could have a really off the wall game.
Because if you think about it, it's playing like an RPG version of basically the whole of DeviantArt.
Yeah,
That's what it is like, and
Exactly.
it's really funny, and it achieves what it wants to achieve. It's not highbrow stuff; it's
No.
lowbrow comedy, and
it's bad. It's not even bad. I was going to say it's bad done good, but it's not.
It's silly done good.
yeah, that's it. That's
Yeah,
the
because
one.
it's very
really
cleverly
is.
written, but it's just silly, and I'm so surprised at how much I like this game.
You know what? I am really surprised as well. I thought that we was going to be laughing. You know, we've had a few episodes where the old reviews have been just basically taking the piss out of it, but this is actually, all things considered, it's a good.
It's all right.
It's a good product.
I just wish the presentation was better. I mean,
Yeah,
the cover, it's got to be like that, because that's his signature Photoshop
That's his
style.
look. Yeah, that's
Right?
the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, but but the
All he had to do, bless him, he's probably just done it himself. But if he had just sent it to a layout guy,
yeah, well, but it's a 15 quid
couple
book.
of
It's
sidebars.
a
But
budget
big book.
title.
It's and to be what we're looking at,
Shitloads of content.
nearly 270 pages. It's not bad, is it?
Chuffed, absolutely chuffed.
Hugo nominated erotic author.
Oh yes, he was. Some people voted for him over and over again on the Hugo Awards, but they turned out to be loads of right wing, so he denounced them.
Oh dear,
Yeah,
he's almost black belt.
yeah. Well, that's Tingleverse,
Brilliant.
everyone.
Fantastic.
Go out and give it a buy. It's well
Give it-
fucking
and
worth
do you know
it.
what? Even if you're not going to play the game, just use it for some of the stuff and put it in your games.
Yeah, because you could have a character from another dimension come in, and he's a sort of
Not
a
basketball.
ball sword wielding raptor who's a true buckaroo.
True buckaroo.
All right,
Check it out.
let's do some bloody Wi-Fi signal.
Oh yeah.
Pardue, what are you doing?
Going to join the Great Hall.
You can't. It's a trap.
I have spells. I'm going to fly.
You don't have enough points. I am the maze controller.
Maze control.
Yes.
So this is Wi-Fi signal, where I show RPG products to my wife, and she has to describe the cover without saying the name, and Nick has to guess the game or the product. So she's only got 30 seconds for each one. That's the catch.
Okay.
Let's do the first one.
There's a bear, an angry bear, an angry fox, wolf. There's a mouse that looks like he's going camping. Is he a Boy Scout mouse? And I think that's a badger with goggles on, smoking.
You know that one?
I know what that is. That's GenLab Alpha.
Well done. 1
Yeah.
point to you.
Yes.
All right, let's do the next one.
Go on.
A bloody toothed goblin? Is he a goblin? Serpent goblin? Holding a heart with the aorta facing up. Green eyes, 2 eyebrow rings, edgy. Bitten off ears, slightly bitten ears, maybe moths like goblin ears.
What's that one?
That's Saga of Goblin Horde.
It is Saga of the Goblin Horde, yes.
Good.
I think I might have gone too easy on you in
I
this
couldn't
one.
remember for the life of me what was on. I know the front cover, but you don't actually. when you're trying to think of it in your head. But yeah, no, you've gone easy on me.
I have. This next one I think might be another easy one.
Go on.
There's a man hurtling towards them in a wagon made of train parts and bike parts with goggles on. There's a man holding poisonous cards with a gun, and there's a lady with a gun. Ooh, lady face. She's got ponytails with nice green braids in.
Deadlands.
You are right.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought that one might throw you, but it's the poisonous cards, because you've got hucksters in Deadlands.
That's what got me, yeah.
All right, so next up is going to be this one.
Someone's had a lovely time with Photoshop. What the
You have to describe it, you're running out of time.
shit? There's a green hunky body with a lizard head and a cowboy hat. What looks like Mariah Carey but with pixie ears. There's tentacles and a Chewbacca?
I like this. She said the Bigfoot was a Chewbacca. Yeah, I think Nick pointed to the book during that. What is that one?
That's the Tingleverse, of course.
It certainly is.
Anything else?
It's such a great
I'll
cover.
have to try and get you. Oh yeah, because it's hard, isn't it? Because you think the books that we use all the time, we've looked at the covers a million times. So because I'm thinking I've got to try and get to do Wi-Fi. What ones am I going to pull on you?
Yeah. But the thing is,
I'll find my
I'm
obscure ones.
pretty good at covers, so you could find obscure ones. I think I'd give it a good go.
Oh, I'll give it a bash.
We got one more here.
Yes.
Let's give it a go.
Come on.
Well, this is going to be obvious because that's Dracula. As gargoyles, turrets, bats, lightning. He's on a balcony and he's clearly declaring his love for some beautiful maiden beneath because he's holding his fist to his chest.
That'd be Ravenlord.
Ravenlord. You mean Ravenloft? Ravenlord was our series.
Oh,
But
is there
I'll-
actually a...
I'll give you the point anyway.
Half a point.
But it was funny how on the money she was there, because you know how Strahd, he sees his old wife, he gets given a vision of her throwing herself off from
Yeah, I
the
didn't know that
ramparts.
part. I didn't know he was actually like.
Yeah, so on the
doing
cover,
anything.
that's why he's
Yeah.
like looking all forlorn and with his arm in the air,
Because
because
she
he's
saw more than me. Because I
Yeah.
just thought he was just up on his balcony.
yeah. Well, I thought it was pretty clever.
Very good.
Anyway, you get 4.5 points.
Yeah, not too bad.
That is
That's
good.
not too bad at all.
I think that's your best performance
I
yet.
think you're right.
Right, let's do some. We got Nick's item now. He's going to do Dragon or Blagging. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Roll up, come and play Dragon or Blaggin', a game where you could win big. Under this box, do I have a dragon, a mysterious creature of mythical origin, or is there in fact nothing? Am I blagging? Well, find out now, only £10 a go.
You, sir, come and play the game.
Who? Me?
Yes, you. Come on, come and play. Dragon or Blaggin'. Ha ha!
Okay, so this is Dr. Chuck Tingle's Dragon or Blagging, and I am going to read out 4 possible names for Chuck Tingle books, and one of them is an imposter, and Harrison has to work out which one is the fake one out of all of them.
Sounds good.
Right, so you ready? Number 1.
Yeah.
So, which one of these is not a Chuck Tingle piece of art? So the first one, my handsome mountain bike is a doctor and he pounds my butt. The call is coming from inside your butt.
Mm.
Heavy metal unicorn lawyer sings into my butthole legally. And
The legally part is what does it.
just wraps it up, yeah, legally. And Leviathan lizard pounds my butt.
I think the fake one is Leviathan lizard pounds my butt.
Yeah, you're right.
Because the call is coming from inside your butt is clearly like him doing a take on horror. Like, you know, the call is coming from inside the house. That thing.
But the caller is in your butt.
All right, that's good, man.
Well done. So 1 point. Next one, we got... okay. Moby Butt. Of course. Buttosaurus Rex and the Fluff Machine Giant gets me off. Eaten right by the mysterious S symbol everybody used to draw.
Oh,
that's
those ones that you
graffiti
did-
S.
Yeah, on exercise books at school.
Eaten right by that. Or my librarian is a beautiful lesbian ice cream cone and she tastes amazing.
I think it's eaten right by the S symbol people used to draw.
No.
Oh my god.
It's Butasaurus Rex and the Fluff Machines Giants gets me off.
That's really good. That's really good. You've clearly understood.
I read a few and got a feel for it.
Yeah.
So, okay, next one, number 3. So, nice guy dinosaur doesn't pound me in the butt because I'm not interested and he's not actually nice. He's just annoying and creepy and doesn't respect my boundaries when I tell him we're on a date.
That's the entire title?
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
Canada pounds my butt and covers my pancakes with real maple syrup in an erotic way. Also, it is delicious.
Mm-hmm.
Brexit pounds my butt, then thankfully decides not to exit it. Pounded in the butt by my own handsome large toe, Tony the Toe.
Oh, that's a tough one. That really is. I think it's the Brexit one. It's the fake one.
No.
What?
It's pounded in my own butt by my handsome large toe, Tony the Toe.
Oh man, that sounded too real.
I'm Chuck Tingle. Surprise! It's too
Knew
easy
it.
for me.
I bloody knew it.
Okay, so we got 2 points so far. Right, next one, number 4. Butt-shaped monsters from Mars have asked me on a dinner date. I'm nervous and excited. Pounded in the butt by my reluctance to buy a humble bundle featuring stories with gay characters, as though that has some kind of bearing on my own sexuality or the quality of the product, then eventually realising it's pretty good and I'm fine.
He really needs to know how to cut down his titles.
The banana in my butt is a handsome lifeguard.
The what?
The banana in my butt is a handsome lifeguard.
Christ. Is that all of them?
No, and the last one is a butt in the mist. Stared in the core of my bodice by the Duchess Triceratops of Helena.
Okay, I think the butt-shaped monsters from Mars is the one you made up. Yeah. That's good, though. That is good. God, they're mental, aren't they?
They are so
Was it the
bad.
banana in my butt is a handsome lifeguard?
Yeah.
That's good.
And he must have done one. He must have done a special writing for Humble Bundle.
Yeah, he did. That's how I knew that wasn't the one, because there was a Chuck Tingle bundle on Humble Bundle once, so he got loads of his ebooks.
Oh, God. Oh dear, a butt in the mist. Very good. Right, and finally, the last set. Flying to the planet Buttermus Prime in a butt-shaped spaceship that is sentient coffee cup inside my butt.
Oh, for God's sake.
Billionaire Elon Musk takes the handsome planet Mars in his butt.
Mm-hmm.
Pounded by the handsome zombie elevator is also my lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
Open wide for the handsome saber-toothed dentist who is also a ghost.
Okay, so I think the Elon Musk one is real because he often, because he did one about Reddit pounding him in the butt and he called it Rebbit instead, so I think that's him.
What, Elon Musk? Yeah.
I think the saber-toothed tiger who's already also a ghost, that's the one you made up. No, it's going to be Zombie Elevator, isn't it? What?
No, I made up the flying to the planet Buttermus Prime in a butt-shaped spaceship that is a sentient coffee cup inside my butt. I really nailed it by the end.
You
I
really did.
Got the feel for it.
You've understood it, man. You should be his ghostwriter. Saber-toothed ghostwriter.
Who's also... Oh, so there you go. That was it.
The man is an utter genius. The thing is, as well, because he's got so many books out, it must have been easy to write.
It was an absolute pleasure. So I often knock my items together when I get a bit of time, and it was like, right, so let's go onto Wikipedia and look at his his back catalogue. Jesus
It's
Christ.
insane, isn't it?
And he, like you said, he's not even been writing for that long. The guy's prolific, to say the least.
Since 2014, he's written over like 150 books
There
or
were
something
so
like this.
many good ones that I didn't use. Mate. Anyway, go look at them. It's a laugh. If you want to kill half an hour and have a laugh.
Yeah, and I've actually only read one of his books. I read Space Raptor Butt Invasion.
Yes, are they short?
They really are.
Okay,
yeah. They're quite short. So they're like they range between short stories, novellas, and he's written a couple of full novels.
Yeah, because there's like part 1, part 2, part. I've seen a few of them as well.
Yeah, because the Space Raptor is a series. It's
Right,
Space Raptor Butt Invasion, Space Raptor Butt Redemption, and then Space Raptor something else. I can't remember what it is, but yeah, that's the one I read, and it's nonsense. It really is, but yeah.
But brilliant at the same time. Yeah, very good.
Well done. All right,
Thank you.
we'll get on to your correspondence with Electro Letters.
Hell yeah.
In the future, you will be able to send a letter or parcel from anywhere on the planet. This, sir, is the Electro Letter.
Okay, so for this episode's Electro Letters, we asked for your best tips for running better games/adventures. This was kind of inspired by the fact that I obviously bought 5e recently, and whenever I get a new game like that, I like to look out for, the best tips and things like this.
Absolutely, yeah.
Every single fucking person on the bloody internet said, oh, watch Matt Colville's stuff, or watch Matt Mercer's GM tips. I can tell you this, Matt Colville is obviously very clever, and he has a very specific way of running a game. He was a writer for a game company, and he writes fantasy fiction. He's just like a Critical Role type guy, but less of a douche, actually, to be fair. And he speaks way too fucking fast. But yeah, so I checked out his videos. He's got a very specific way of running a game. Matt Mercer, he obviously runs most of his games for entertainment, and he likes to keep players alive. Not my cup of tea, but anyway. Point is that I thought there's actually very little good advice for 5e out there. Even on like Reddit and things like this, it was all, everyone just says, watch Matt Colville, watch Matt Mercer, and it's like, that's not good advice. But anyway, point is that's where this all came from. And so the first one comes in from Timothy Peer. He says, world build with your players. In my current game, each player had to make a location in their neighborhood and populate it with people and give at least one interesting fact. It makes them attached to the place they are playing in.
Cool.
Great advice.
Yeah.
And when you played Forget About It recently, when you were drawing the battle map, you got your players to add details.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Gave them all a pen each and just said, put whatever you want.
Well, this is what I was thinking about the zoo game, right? When I saw this information, I just thought, well, actually, that would be pretty cool if each of them were invested in the town, or they even just give a unique way of how they met the previous owner or whatever, and it always ends up with good details, because then they'll say, oh, I came from this horrible town. It's like, oh cool, now we've got a horrible town to put in the world.
And we know it's there. Yeah, exactly.
Michael Hassenstab comes in. He says, let the players have a sense that they are running the game, i.e. don't rest right it to a linear progression. What the fuck does that even mean? Don't write it to a linear progression storyline. Okay, so he's saying don't play it to... Well, I don't fucking know what you're saying.
Don't railroad it, I guess.
Anyway, he says, then gently or not so gently remind them that you are in charge when the time is right. So I guess just saying player freedom. Allow player freedom, and if you can't do that, make it seem as if you are.
Pretend you are. Yeah, fair enough. Lean comes in with understand the principles of stories. At the heart of any story is risk and conflict, but that doesn't mean violence. Analyse your characters. What are their hindrances or flaws? What are the values for which they would be willing to risk it all? Then create motivations for them on those values, slowly ramping up the risk until everything is at stake for the finale.
Yeah, that's great advice. Because the principles of storytelling, it's good to understand. It's good to understand the different types of story there are. But ultimately, the one thing you've got to understand is that this is a different medium to storytelling. That's right. So that's important. It's a great advice, but just remember that the way to do it in this type of game is very, very, very different.
Oh, I totally agree with that. I sit around the table for a good story, but it's not the pinnacle reason I'm there. It's what the characters and the GM interact within that story that make it for me.
Yeah, and also put it this way, like a locked room mystery, right?
Yeah.
Classic Agatha Christie stuff, right? That can be really, really difficult to do in, say, a fantasy game.
Yeah, sure.
James ran into those problems. When you have an investigative game, for example, James ran into these problems because we just use spells to get around everything.
That's right, yeah.
Absolutely. So you've got to understand that, and then realise, like, yeah, those work well in fiction because they're set in a certain type of world. In this game, you've got to remember and try to adapt it so it works for the RPG.
That's right, yeah.
As for advice to how to do that, that'll be on another episode.
Yeah.
Gary McCallum comes in with a message. He says, potato chips, or as you cunts call them, crisps, they make any game better, especially with dip.
Agreed.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Spot on there,
the
Gary.
thing is, every single game, we're around the table, we always have biscuits, crisps, sweets, and the crisps are the best thing.
Yeah, crisps are always good. Always
especially because you're always drinking, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Matt Starkey says, if it's a published adventure, then you need to read it 3 times before running it and change some stuff to make it your own. If the players go off script, own it and make it interesting.
Absolutely right. Yeah, encourage them to go off script, I would say.
This is one of the major troubles. I'm not going to say who it was, but there was a guy once in our group that ran a pre-generated adventure, and because he ain't read it properly, it went fucking terribly. And this is like, this can always happen because you need to know the adventure inside and out, because if you made it, you would.
Yeah, of course, exactly. And you need to be able to account for things that don't go right.
I think published modules don't actually save that much time, but what they do save is is the brain power, because you should read it 3 times, but you've got an idea all made
They give
for
you a framework. That's what I like. So if I've got an adventure that's I kind of like the idea, or there's parts that I like, I just nick it. I just nick bits.
Yeah, nick bits and then make it your own.
That's right.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Next up, we have Terry Hansen, and he says, I recommend game mastering nearly nude. Not full on in the buff, but pasties and tightly fitting undergarments. Electrical tape X's may also be utilised. Is that for the older Nippel?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know why Terry has to make this podcast a house of smut. And who he thinks he is trying to be funny. We're the ones who are attempting to be funny here.
How dare you?
You fuck.
Don't forget the ball gag. That'd be good, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, you know, there was that old series. I've never watched it, but that D&D of Porn Stars series. That's what I imagined in my...
Oh, hold on. What do I know about... Yeah, because...
Zach S. used to do it, remember?
Did we see something on Facebook going, got a great new idea, guys? And it was like, no, it's not
a good idea. They were like, we're going to get erotic actors and we're going to make them play D&D. And it's like...
But the great thing is they're erotic actors. It's like, we don't give a shit, though, because they're playing D&D. So
well, put it this way. It's the same, the thing is, if... It doesn't matter because they're essentially going to be shit at the game because it's not their forte, right?
Yeah.
They're good at having sex
and that's
on
their
the camera.
job. Like,
right.
You know, I don't bring my job to the game.
Yeah, well, yeah. If we did a game where it was an all electrician, no, that's what we should do. Yeah. We should start a rival one where it's all electricians playing D&D. Like, what the fuck is this?
We're just electrocuted, mate.
Well, the thing is as well, I feel the same way about Critical Role, and I often rag on them. But the thing about them is they're voice actors, right? They're good at delivering lines and being directed and told what to do. Yeah. But in actual improvisation. They're not that good, mate. There's some good characters, but it's pretty shit overall.
I haven't watched it yet, sorry.
I wouldn't bother.
Yeah, no,
Lewis Pineda says, customise the game for the player and character strengths. Actions have consequences. If the players act like murder hobos, another group of murder hobos will come to hunt them down too.
Nice.
He does continue the email, but what I thought was so good about that is customising your game to your players' strengths and what they like is so fucking important. Don't run the game you want to play because you're not playing.
No, that's right. So they might not like it, and then don't get butthurt about it.
Exactly. Yeah, because it's always going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the Lamentations game, right? It was supposed to be a West Marches type game, right, where you had this central hub, and ideally the players are supposed to try not to upset too much in the central hub so that we can always return to it and people can venture out of it, right?
Yeah.
They got kicked out within the first fucking 3 sessions or something like this. Fucking burnt a pub down. Then they got taken to court, and while they were there, they broke out by you summoning a dragon. Fucking, they like killed the judge. It was
mental.
And every time something happened in that game, the Fuzzy, who was played by Ryan, what was his name? Gunlit, right? He would just go, right, how can we burn this down?
I'm a woodland fucking warrior, mate.
Yeah, his solutions, like everything was to burn it. When you're in court and he was trying to bust you guys out, he immediately went to the sconces on the wall and was like, right, I'm going to use my rope to get one of those torches up off the
then
wall.
He was talking about burning our own pub again. We're like, we just built this.
Yeah, it was
oh my god.
He just burnt. Yeah, so it's always going to go off the rails, but you have to,
enjoy it, embrace it.
Yeah, Lewis Pineda continues and he says, this is just some general advice. I use black poker chips at the table to signify time running out.
Ooh.
Once those chips are out, the next event happens. Chips can be added or taken away faster depending on player actions.
Ooh, that's a little house rule.
Yeah, I do the same thing with timers.
Yeah, timers are wicked.
It means something's going to happen. Your characters don't know it, but the players do.
Do you know what would be really good? That's what we need to get to, because we need to get that crit bell, but I also think an actual egg timer that ticks will be even more tense, because you can hear it going.
Actually, that's a good point. You completely off topic, but you bought a cap gun for crits.
God, bring it in.
You forgot
it with me.
But yes. It's every time somebody's dice explodes or they score a crit, Nick's going to fire the gun into the air.
Gun, isn't
he continues and he says, perception/notice checks aren't for the obvious or what you want the players to notice. It's for picking up on more and having a chance to spot an ambush. That's fine.
Yep.
Environmental hazards can and should be just as dangerous as the characters one is up against.
Yep.
Fighting tooth and nail while knee-deep in water that's rising or in a structure of fire that's quickly spreading, good time to use the black chips, is more intense than whacking away at each other.
Yeah, we spoke about this when we were talking about sandboxes and saying that you should, using environments and stuff is a really, really handy tool. Weather can be great, can be terrifying,
exactly. And you know what as well, the thing is this is why there's something that's an underused rule that in D&D 4e that I used in Lamentations a lot, the skill challenges. Where you have to get a certain number of successes before you get a certain number of fails.
That was really fun.
So there's one where they were just where they were trying to run out of a exploding volcano, and remember, all this shit was falling around you. And instead of just going, right, roll agility, let's see if you get out, what I did is I did the skill challenge.
Yep.
Suddenly, everyone can take an action.
Yep.
On any turn, somebody's the main guy and people can help. So if you're running, for example, a good example of that was in Lamentations, where you guys were trying to run away from a horde of skeletons and get into a room, and I did a skill challenge. And Sean, you think everyone's running, they're just going to roll agility, but Sean, one of the players at the table, he goes, okay, I'm going to use my charisma to shout everyone to spur them on, and that made you go faster. And if you got a success, that's one closer to getting away.
That just reminded me, that killed me. Do you remember when that crow was just above doing nothing, and it just went, "Arr!" And he went, get out of here, for no reason, just shouted at the crow. Do you remember? It just went, "Arr!"
Oh, what was it? It was just an environmental detail.
Yeah, it was nothing. It was nothing at all. And I can't remember what I did, and it just used the whole action to just have a go at a crow. Do you remember?
I do remember that,
Get out of here. It was Jimmy.
Mid-combat, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy. Anyway.
I think he thought the crow was going to be a bad guy.
I think he did. So he just went, and fucked off.
Right, we've got a little bit more. Lewis Pineda's given us a fucking essay here. But he says, introduce NPCs that have depth and just enough backstory to entice the players to learn more. For example, why does the local blacksmith refuse to sell dwarves? Oh, sell 2 dwarves.
I ain't selling you a dwarf.
If it's dwarves you want, you gotta go somewhere else, right? I don't take that kind of muck. Why does the ship captain ban music on warp/hyperspace travel? There you go.
You do the best one with that when you go, when we're like, what's that then? You're like, oh no, weird, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what you got to do. Details, they don't always have to be explained.
Yeah.
For example, a crow might be a bad one, might not.
Who knows?
Player shakes a fist at it and wastes a turn. Anyway, the last thing he says is be flexible. Plans rarely turn out as one wants. So yeah, spot on. We've already spoken about that. And Daniel Irwin, he says, here's a bit of advice: steal your players' ideas. They're normally better than the ones you came up with anyway. And it's funny that because a few weeks, I think it was like a month ago, we were out in the pub, me and you said I'd love to run a Dark Tower game. Yeah. And then,
there it is.
That's what's happened.
Do you know? I think that was more of a. I'd love to run a Dark Tower, but can't be bothered. Hint, hint. So it worked out quite well.
Well, I was planning it for ages, so it actually worked out.
I'm really pleased. Yeah.
Yeah. Daniel Owen's final bit of advice. He says, "Don't panic."
Yeah.
Couldn't agree with that more.
Looking at you, Nick.
Well, you get very flustered, especially when it comes to you have, and when it comes to running for new people.
Yeah.
For us, it's fine, but it used to be like, for example, when you first did your first Savage Worlds games, it took you a couple of sessions to get into it, and that's normal.
Yeah.
But when we ran Savage Con and you were running Punted in the Bonds for a bunch of people you don't know, you look like you were going to melt with fear. And I get it, I totally get it. But the only thing is panicking never ever helps.
No, it makes it worse. It makes it way worse.
Because often you'll question yourself on rules. I don't know if you've ever done it. Like I do this all the time because I'm a terrible driver. But when I first started driving, you question every tiny thing you're doing, and you're like, "Did I do the right thing?
Was that even one way? Was that one way?
Is it 30 down here or not?" And it's like, that's the kind of thing. It only ever messes up your game. So
but the players don't notice. That's the thing. You might completely get a rule bit wrong. Not the end of the world, but at the end of the day, unless they're really know the rules back to front, and it doesn't break the game, it doesn't matter.
Well, put it this way: in the Dark Tower game that we were playing the other day, there was a point where they were fighting 2 gangsters in the modern world. Basically, they'd gone through to rescue somebody, and one of the guys, it was Jimmy the Shoe, the big English gangster, right? And Dan the Daggerman, his apprentice, right? They were on the same sheet of paper. Right. And there was one point, basically, Dan the Daggerman, his toughness was 10, right? Yeah. And everyone was struggling to hit him. And then one round, James rolled a 7, but I looked at the wrong character.
I thought that. It's like, yeah, and it is. I was like, oh, he's not as strong as we thought he was.
No, I fucked up. And I'm not sure it was the killing blow, but he definitely did a lot of wounds to him. And I was like, then the next round come along, I looked down at my sheet and I went, oh, shit. But I was like, well, I can't go back.
No, you can't. Oh, by the way, you hit the wrong guy.
Yeah, by the way, you didn't hit him. So I was just like, fuck it. I made a mistake, Your
big bad did really get one-hitted in the end. But
roll with
it. Have another one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But that's it, man. You got any sage advice? What's your biggest tip for new players?
New players?
No, new GMs.
New GMs. Don't over. We've spoke about this before, but I was a victim of this 100 times. Don't over prepare. Don't under prepare. So, like you said, if you're gonna run a pre-published module, give it a good read, maybe 2-3 times, like Matt said. Make some notes, customize it a little bit, put your flavour on it. If you're going to run something that's completely sandboxed or from your own creation, then don't worry, because things can be moved around. So if they don't go down the road you want them to go down because you've got something really cool to show them, put it somewhere else. It's fine.
And, you know, if they kill the villain, you know, the big villain within the first 2 things,
don't worry. Congratulate
maybe he was just the apprentice and he's got a master.
Precisely.
You know, whatever.
And then they feel great about it. They've got a good kill, you know, and then and I would say as well, don't panic that if a session's really going down a role playing road and it's quite combat light, don't start fretting, because if the players look like they're enjoying it, then don't worry about going, oh, they have to have combat because it's an RPG. Don't worry about it.
Exactly, because we've had so many sessions where it's you know, you could have a session where all you do is socialise with the big wigs in town because you're trying to get their favour.
Exactly.
And it can be really fun, especially when it comes to... Because when it comes down to rolling dice, right, and it's probably too long-winded an explanation, but when it comes down to rolling dice, I don't often get people to roll for saying something unless the other person isn't buying it, right? And then you can roll, and it's a gamble as to whether or not they're going to take the weird thing you said. But my biggest bit of advice, and it's very, very, very broad, but I would say make sure it's fun.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
because
absolutely.
the thing about it is that you don't obsess over details, don't over prepare, but just make sure it's fun. As long as the players are having fun, that's the number one goal, and that can be serious fun, it can be jokey fun, but whatever your group likes. You know, don't run what you want to run what they want to run, and make it fun as fun.
Absolutely.
And the way that manifests in the way that I run games is I tend to run them like movies as opposed to long series. So you could enjoy a single session of one of my campaigns simply by sitting down and playing it, and then the whole thing has a grander story.
Absolutely.
So it's like a little big, it's like a big thing of connected movies.
That's it. Exactly that. Yeah. And it's cracking. Yeah, you're absolutely right. If your players are having fun, you as a GM will always have fun.
Yes.
Always, every time.
Exactly,
So.
even if it's a game you don't want to be running.
Exactly.
I don't even like Savage Worlds. I've been running it for years. I'm kidding.
First game I ever bought. Fucking hate it. No,
Right, that's it. We're out.
Let's go.
Scythe blade, backfire.
That was another episode.
Yeah.
I want to say thanks for everyone for sending their letters in. Some bloody good suggestions.
Yeah,
and
very good.
I think that was quite a useful Electro letters.
I do, yeah.
Take all of them. Take all of their ideas.
Take all that.
Yeah, so pretty good. But we'll give you some contact info. But before that, we've got to shout out some people that are on the same network.
Yes, we have.
Even though they're not as good as us. Isn't that right?
That's absolutely right.
I mean, that is the trouble, because we signed a contract when we started on this network that we should shout out the other shows. And they're all a bit naff. No, that is a joke. They're very good.
And they're all very good.
So today I want to shout out Finding the Narrative.
Yes.
If you're interested in Genesis, which I am interested in picking it up actually.
It's a cool game.
Yeah, then check that out. It's got Tony and Chris, and they are fantastic. They know their shit, and they're spectacular GMs of the game.
And very fun to listen to. Yeah,
I got Chris, played a game with Chris at Con on the Cob last year, and he was fucking brilliant. So if you need somebody that's an authority on that system, listen to that. And the next show, I'm going to go for Imaginary Ramblings. I've never listened to it, but Matt's a mate of mine, so go and listen to that.
It's good.
I think it's just a nerd podcast. Like, he talks about nerd culture.
It's brilliant, yeah.
Good. Right, so that's that. And also, I'm going to be at Con on the Cob next month.
Yes,
it's in Ohio, in America, and it's going to be the 4th of October, I think. I'm a special guest there, and I'll be running an exclusive preview of Nick and I's upcoming supplement, Tough Guys, an expansion for Wise Guys.
Yeah,
so come along, check that out. I think my games are actually full, but
good.
you can come along.
It's live stream as well, isn't it?
Yes, it's going to be live stream, so you can watch it online.
So we can give him shit from across the pond. So.
Yeah, now you're going to realise all the advice I give on this podcast.
It's bollocks.
And that I'm a terrible
Just
GM.
see him shaking.
No, I'll be fine, because I'm going to be drunk when I'm doing it. So
absolutely fine. You'll be absolutely fine.
Yeah. So if you want to come along, I'll sign copies of 78 Hamlet Happenings. I'll just do it digitally, because it's obviously only a digital product. So
we'll just put a little like a little JPEG onto it.
You know when you can put edit on like a document, I'll just scribble over it.
Perfect.
You print it out.
There you go, signed copy, digital.
All right, and if you want to contact us, you can get in contact at 3trpgpod@gmail.com or on Facebook, we, Twitter, all of that shit. So yeah, just give us a contact. And if you want to donate to the show, we're on Patreon. And yeah, just check us out on there. And if you want to give us a buck, give us a buck. We've also got a product, 78 Hamlet Happenings. This outro is getting way too long, isn't it?
That's all right.
But yeah, buy 78 Hamlet Happenings if you want. It's a product we made.
It's a toolbox. It's really cool.
So, I've been Harrison Hunt.
I've been Nick Lambslice.
And remember that D20s are cool, but 20Ds, that's a good time.
Oh yeah.
Goodbye.
Later.